Okay, to start, you are going to give the link to this Breakout EDU to your students. They're going to start it just by clicking on the link, and they're going to come to the home page, which is telling you about the story. So my story is Lost at Sea. You and your friends stole a boat and you got lost at sea. The winds picked up and a huge wave creates a hole in the bottom of your boat. And your GPS dies, and you are only left with a box. And this box has riddles and clues to open up the box. So you have to go through this Breakout EDU and break out of the box in order to get food and batteries for your GPS and everything like that. So that's kind of the storyline. So then they're going to click down and they're going to go to next. And then they get to the first clue. So this is a four-digit lock combination. And then they have this riddle. So the following clues will guide you. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. We are sailing and scaling. And the last part is triples. So here your students are going to see that you're dealing with Pythagorean triples. And they see the word scaling. So they also know that it's a four-digit lock combination. So what we're doing is we are dealing with Pythagorean triples. So the most common one is the 3, 4, 5, but they see that that does not work. And then it also says we have a four-digit lock combination, and we see that we're supposed to scale. So we need to scale this by 2 to get 6, 8, 10. And then they will be breaking out of it. That's the first one. Next we have a directional lock combination. So all of these 1 through 5 are different Pythagorean theorem questions students are going to have to solve. I would recommend that they get some paper, and because they're going to have to do the computation, and that it's hard to do just in their head. So they're definitely going to need some paper for this. Then for every single one of the 5, they're going to get an output. The output corresponds in the number bank to a direction, left, right, up, down. And so once they figure that out, they will see that the answer is left, 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 up, up. And so they'll be able to type it in there. And then they'll be able to move on. Okay, here's clue number 3. So this is a 3-digit lock combination. So this is more of a history lesson because I think it's important for students to know about who Pythagoras was. He's the person that created the Pythagorean theorem. So I kind of gave a little bit about him, and they are responsible for using context clues to be problem solvers and figure out who I'm talking about. So it says here we have a mathematician. He is known as the author of the Pythagorean theorem. So they can go online and search for who he is, and then they need to figure out when he was born. He was born in, the question is, what is the most important date of this amazing mathematician? 569, that's when he was born. And it was in BC, and you can see when they don't quite have the correct answer, I always have clues. So the date incurred in BC, but this is just a 3-number will work. So 369, and then they get to move on. And lastly, we have the ABC lock combination. So this is similar to the second clue we did. I gave them clues. So number 1, all letters correspond to numbers. So that means A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3. That's how they correspond. I'm just giving them some context clues. The A equals B, those are the legs of the triangle. C is our hypotenuse. That's pretty typical for Pythagorean theorem. And then 4, 5, and 6 are just more Pythagorean theorem problems that they need to solve. 7's a duplicate, so that means it's a duplicate answer of one of those. And 8 is the leg of the most common triple. So these are questions they need to answer. Now this requires a lot of problem solving, this one. The numbers that come out of here will correspond with the word flood. So 4, this is going to be an F, L, O, O, and then the duplicate is a O, and then D. So once you solve the problems, the numbers that come out definitely do correspond with the numbers that were given. And so Here's my question, what's going on? And they obviously know this because that's what the game's all about. It's flooding. So, and I wrote, we have to do all caps, so flood is what they will get. All right, and then we're just going to come to some reflection questions. So reflection question number 1, what's the purpose of the Pythagorean theorem? And then they have some space to respond. Next, reflection question 2. How can I use Pythagorean theorem to find the missing length of a right triangle? Reflection question 3 is, how does the length of the hypotenuse compare to the length of a leg? And reflection question 4 is, how can you tell if your answer for the length of a leg or hypotenuse is a reasonable answer? How does it compare to the other lengths? And is the answer within a reasonable expectation? So I give them lots of space to write on this, and then when I get their answers, I will be able to see if they're really comprehending what's going on, which I think is very important. And then they'll just submit it. And so this is a really great breakout for learning Pythagorean theorem, and I hope the students like it.